Wages are at record highs, but Americans feel poorer than at any point in a generation. The economy is growing, and an entire generation stopped trying to buy a home. Inflation is under control, but your groceries cost 30% more than 3 years ago. None of this is a coincidence, and it all starts with something most people misunderstand. What is inflation? Most people would say prices going up, but that's one consequence. Prices go up because of something that happens before them, and that something starts here. The Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, has the ability to create money. Not print it physically, create it. A decision is made, a number is typed into a system, and just like that, new dollars exist. Billions of them, sometimes trillions. This is called monetary expansion. Think of it this way. Imagine there are 10 apples in the world and $10. Each apple costs $1. Now someone creates 10 more dollars out of nothing. Same apples, more dollars. Now each apple costs $2. The apples didn't change. The money did. That's not a price increase. That's your money becoming worth less. Now, the government gives you a number to track this. It's called the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. It measures a basket of goods and tells you inflation is 2%, maybe 3%, a small, manageable number. But the CPI doesn't measure how much new money was created. There's a different metric for that. It's called M2. M2 tracks the total amount of money in existence. And in 2020 and 2021 alone, the money supply expanded by approximately 40%. In 2 years. Same economy, same roads, same factories, same workers, just vastly more money. And when you flood any system with more units without creating more of what those units are supposed to buy, each unit buys less. That's how your salary loses value without anyone touching it. That's how prices rise without anyone deciding to make you poorer. Or so it seems. Because here's what the M2 chart doesn't show you. That new money didn't appear everywhere at once. It entered the system through specific doors, and someone was already standing at those doors. When the Federal Reserve creates money, it doesn't land in your bank account. It doesn't land in your neighbor's account either. It moves through a system, and that system has a very specific order. First, the Federal Reserve itself. It creates the money and uses it to buy assets from large financial institutions, government bonds, mortgage securities. In plain terms, it hands fresh money directly to banks. Second, the banks. With that new money, they lend, they invest, they buy real estate, stocks, commodities, all at yesterday's prices. Because the new money just arrived. The market hasn't adjusted yet. Third, the corporations and asset owners. Credit is cheap, borrowing is easy, they expand, they acquire, they invest further. Still at prices that haven't fully adjusted. And then, somewhere much further down the line, the money reaches you through your employer, through your salary. By the time it gets there, months later, sometimes longer, the prices have already moved. The house costs more. The groceries cost more. Your raise isn't a raise, it's a partial reimbursement. Always late, always slightly short. Not because the economy failed, because of where you stand in the line. Now here's what makes this more than economic theory. This mechanism was identified and described in precise detail, not last year, not after 2008, in 1730, by a man most people have never heard of. And what happened to him after he wrote it down is the part that should make you pay attention. His name was Richard Cantillon. Born in Ireland sometime around 1680, he became a banker, a merchant, an exceptionally successful speculator. He made a fortune during one of history's first financial bubbles, the Mississippi Company collapse in France. While most investors lost everything, Cantillon got out early because he understood something about money that others didn't. He spent the rest of his life writing it down. The result was a manuscript called An Essay on the Nature of Trade in General. In it, he described, with uncomfortable precision, exactly how new money moves through an economy. Who gets it first, who gets it last, and what that gap does to prices, to wages, to wealth. He finished it around 1730. In 1734, he was found dead in his London home. The house had been set on fire. The manuscript survived the fire. It circulated in unpublished form for years, passed between economists, cited, plagiarized, debated. 20 years after his death, it was finally published, in Paris, anonymously, It was immediately recognized as a landmark, and then largely forgotten for over a century. It wasn't taught in schools. It still isn't. What Adam Smith gets credited for, Cantillon had already mapped decades earlier. Coincidence? Probably. He said that when new money enters an economy, it doesn't raise all prices at the same time. It raises prices gradually, starting where the money enters, spreading outward from there. The people closest to the new money spend it before prices adjust. The people furthest from it receive it after prices have already moved. Same expansion, same new money, completely different outcomes depending entirely on where you stand. He called it a matter of position. We now call it the Cantillon Effect. So who's standing closest to the source? It's not a secret society. There's a list. Public, documented, officially sanctioned. In the United States, there are 24 financial institutions authorized to transact directly with the Federal Reserve. They're called primary dealers. Names you recognize: J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Citigroup. They're first in line, by design, by rule, and the rest of the mechanism you already know. Now let's make this concrete. In March 2020, the Federal Reserve announced it would buy assets in whatever amounts necessary. At its peak, more than $100 billion per day in Treasury bonds and mortgage securities. Per day. The stated reason: stabilize the economy during the pandemic. What actually happened? The S&P 500, also the stock market, crashed 34% in 2 months. Then the Fed turned on the printer. By August, the market had fully recovered. By December, it was at an all-time high. A record high during a pandemic. While 22 million Americans had lost their jobs, the top 1% of Americans saw their wealth increase by approximately $4 trillion in 2020, according to the Federal Reserve's own data. The bottom 50% received a $1,200 check. One time. That's not two different groups experiencing the same economy differently. That's two different economies running simultaneously. One for people who own assets, one for people who earn wages, and the distance between them grows every single time new money is created. Because asset prices move fast, wages move slow. Cantillon described this in 1730. 300 years later, the sequence is identical. The names changed, the institutions changed, the amounts got larger, the order of the line never changed, and now you know where you stand in it. The question is what you do with that. Knowing this changes nothing about the system. The money will be created, the sequence will run, wages will arrive last. It will be true after this conversation too. But here's what shifts. Every time a government announces economic stimulus, you know who gets it first. Every time a central bank cuts rates to boost the economy, you know which economy they mean. Every time your raise arrives and the math still doesn't close, you know exactly where it sat in the line. That's not a solution. It's a more accurate map. The mechanism he described has never stopped running. Not once. Most people will spend their entire working lives inside this system without ever knowing the sequence exists. You're not most people anymore. What you do with that is a longer conversation. This channel is having it. Thanks for watching.